Nakama, how you gonna punch me in the chest like this, bro? How? What's up, guys? Welcome here, and here we are to do a breakdown and review of chapter 130 of Four Knights of the which is known as the Fox Sin of Greed. And yo, hopping straight off the bat, before we even get into the chapter itself, this chapter, I'm telling you, and this may just be me fresh off the live reaction, which you can check it over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month to become a member, for as low as $3 a month to check it out. But this chapter may be one of my favorites in the entire duology. In the 400, nearly 500 chapter duology of Seven Deadly Sins, this may be one of my favorite chapters. So you know we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? Lancelot Hunter here. Wiggle, wiggle. Why did I verbalize the sound effects? Why did I? It doesn't wiggle. But regardless, what's up, guys? Lancelot Hunter here. Fun fact: I have it on me, and I keep it on me at all times. And I mean, if we're gonna be on a peak, if I get one more chapter of straight liquid gas, if I open up 131 next week and it's just straight peak all over again, I may have to start playing Blue Lock. I may have to start pre-drawing, which sounds so great. Which sounds so great, but I may have to start, like, this chapter is it's just so much gas. Sweet mother of mercy, y'all. Losing my good mind. But let's not waste any more time. Let's actually hop into the cover page of the chapter, because I do want to talk about this. I love Nakaba's art style. I don't know. I feel like I need to sit down and just make an art style ranking of all the different manga I review and cover, ever reviewed and covered. Because that would be I think that'd be about 10. Because I've covered Record of Ragnarok, I've covered Four Knights / Seven Deadly Sins, I've covered JJK, I've covered MHA, I've covered Undead Unluck, I've covered Dr. Stone, I've covered some weird niche ones before the Kobayashi's Dragon Maid reviews start coming out. But I've covered a whole bunch of different things. For some reason, art, maybe because it's been such an influence on my art style, if you couldn't tell, based on my avatar, Nagaba's art style has had a massive influence on my own art style and how I like to draw things and how I like to use shading and stuff like that and different inking. But I don't know, something about Nagaba's art style. It's the balance. It is, in my opinion, the kinesthetic nature, the high octane energy, and at times the mania of Jujutsu Kaisen's art, perfectly balanced with the immaculate detailing, the character design, and the just artistic quality of Horikoshi's work. If you just smack those two together, I think you get this. And when I say smack them together, I mean meet them in the middle. Maybe not smack them together. I feel like if you smack them together, you get Record of Ragnarok. I think that's a secret plot twist. If you were to literally fuse those three things together and just throw them into a series, you'd get Record of Ragnarok. Because I'm waiting for that latest chapter to be translated, and then I'm gonna start reviewing that again. Because if what I've heard about that chapter, should my boys come back. But sorry, the reason I say this, I love this image of Bond. Once again, not overly complicated. Nakaba is, once again, I never noticed this despite how much I study Nakaba's art style. But bro doesn't use even an ounce, not a lick, not a whiff of shit. And feel free to correct me, because once again, I'm that guy with the pencil. Wiggle, wiggle. But I'm that guy with the pencil. But maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think Nakaba uses shading at all. All of this is cross-hatching and repeat lines. And different levels of coloring. There's no shading here. It's just different levels of ink and ink potency and cross-hatching. Whether it be single stitch cross-hatching or dual hatch cross-hatching like he does for shadows. And that's crazy to me. Once again, just beautiful, beautiful. I still don't like... I was talking with a friend about Bond's purple coat, and he tried to convince me. He did his best to try to convince me, but it just didn't work. I was okay to get over the color of the coat, and it's probably going to bother me when the anime comes out. I will miss his iconic red, but so the fit in of itself, fantastic. I love especially considering the nature of Bond in this chapter, especially for short bursts, the somber look of Bond here is fantastic. He's just staring wistfully off to the void. I can imagine if we were to get a full background of this scene, and and we're to like see where this image was taken from. Obviously, it's not drawing up an image to fit with the chapter title, The Fox Sin of Greed. But if I had to take a guess, if you were to place this image somewhere else, this is him looking out to the wider world, being ravaged by Arthur as he solemnly stands by to protect Benwick, his kingdom, and his wife. And what may be, depending on how you interpret information given later on in this chapter, maybe protecting his own son again. So this image, just by the somberness of it, based on what we know of Bond as a character, beautiful, beautiful. Nakaba, straight gas with this chapter, straight gas. But let's actually hop into the chapter itself. I've been glazing so much, I haven't even talked about the chapter itself. Let's hop in. So we continue right where we left off. Bond hit him with that, and smack Ironside straight away. And we see that Pelgard, who is, I'll admit, you'll hear me complain a little bit. This chapter may be straight gas, maybe straight liquid heat, maybe decayed dinosaur bones. But with that being the case, I'll admit, there's one thing I don't like about this chapter, and you're going to see it soon, and it has to do with my main man, Pelgard, who, once again, most likely my favorite character that's been introduced in the Four Knights series specifically. Like, obviously, I love... Would Pelgard even be a top 10 character? If I'm including both series. And I'm being real, and I'm not memeing. Can I name 10 characters that I like more than Pelgard? Meliodas, Escanor, Bond, King, Mael, heck, Gother. Not original, but the puppet. I really kind of don't like Merlin more. I don't like Merlin or Diane. It's so sad. I don't like Merlin or Diane. Did I say Meliodas? Meliodas, Bond, King, Escanor, Gother, Mael, Zeldris, Ludishel. Ludishel may be stretching it, though. Can I not name two more? Well, Lance. Of course, Lance. And even then, once again, I do have genuine love for Pelgard as a character, but, like, I really do like Gallon. I really do like Gallon a lot, too. And they have, like, comparable roles in the narrative, at least character-wise, if you ask me. So, I don't know. I love Pelgard, but his characterization in this chapter will throw me off. We'll get into that. But one thing I do want to talk about is how Speedy Gonzalez Bond is. He, in my opinion, across the duology, has the best portrayal of Speed. The best. And don't get me wrong, Nakaba has a bunch of characters who are also built around Speed. Like Dolgetto. Don't remember who Dolgetto is? Google him. Then you'll remember. He was, if you don't remember, you don't want to Google it, he was Grey Road's pacifism victim, and he was responsible for the plague on the series that is combat classes. He's not responsible for them at all. The mechanic would have been introduced regardless, but still. Those are the two main moments of Dolgetto. Getting styled on by Meliodas. I think he ended up, like, being used by, ironically enough, the person who aged him out of existence in order to let the kids get him free, get Fraudrin free, and he was the pacifism victim. So, like, he really was just a victim all around. So if you don't remember Dolgetto was a thing, and his whole thing was based around speed. But obviously Mel's a speedster. He's portrayed as one. Heck, realistically, Zeldris is a speedster. It's his main attribute. Ludishel's a speedster. All of these characters are speedsters. But I don't know. For some reason, Bond has always just hit the best for me. Even though I'll admit there are characters who are faster. Especially at certain points throughout the series. Like, pre-Purgatory Bond, speed-wise, may not even be like top 15, 20, 30. And I know that sounds crazy. Can I name 30 characters faster than beginning of series Bond? Yes, I can. But I will not list that. Go ahead and list that in the comments section down below if you want to shock me. Because I made a statement in the spoiler discussion for another series. Name X amount of characters stronger than this character. And one of y'all did it. Eternal Flame. Nice work, my friend. But so if y'all can name 30 characters faster than beginning of series Bond, go ahead. But even since then, Bond's speed portrayal has always been so cool to me. And I think the reason it works so much better for me than a lot of characters like Zell and a lot of characters like Ludishel and even Mel from time to time. And Mel does have a similar effect to Bond, but I think Bond's work just a bit better. It's how Bond's speed is portrayed consistently in both a combat and a travel sense. typically characters will have one or the other. Like, Zeldris is very specifically portrayed fast in a combat sense. Like, obviously, I think everyone remembers the panel of Ludoshel and Zell going head to head, and they both... And you have the entire thing of their swords clashing a billion times, and then they cut back, and then Zell has a cut on his cheek and on his shoulder, and Ludoshel just has a cut on his cheek. Like, there's that big speed moment for Zell and Ludoshel, and obviously Ludoshel against Derriere and Mon's speed, and Meliodas. It's like a lot of the series. But a lot of Meliodas' high-speed movement is, once again, mostly combat speed related, and it shows up in quick bursts. Meanwhile, Bon, he's always kind of shown, and it goes down to, like, his very magic. Like, his character is fully built around how fast he is. From his ability to use Snatch to just steal teeth, from his movement leaping the same distance he knocked Ironside away in seconds. And, like, everything about the way Bon's speed is portrayed is always so remarkably consistent. Even when he's not supposed to be that fast. Like, I still remember him somehow getting Chandler in, like, a full Nelson. But man, like, beginning of series Bond. No training. Like, the pre-purgatory. Bro shouldn't have been much stronger at all, but he somehow put Chandler in a full Nelson. So, bro's always been speedy, and I think the commitment to the bit and how well integrated it is into his magic and his very character function is why I think Bon has the best portrayal. And Nakaba always has really good angles with Bon. Nakaba, one of the reasons I love him so much as a mangaka, and I mentioned him in a previous video, it was in a Jujutsu Kaisen review. It's him, Gege, and Horikoshi. They are more than willing to bend. Like, they, ironically enough, squash and stretch is a principle mostly used in animation. The way you make animation look fluid and buttery and crispy and well, not crispy. Actually, I don't want to look crispy. I want to look fluid. The way you make it look all nice and oily till it kind of just rolls over your viewer, you use squash and stretch. You kind of keep everything on model. It can work. I can think of a couple series. No, I can't. But I can think of a couple things, a couple cuts that say very strictly on model and still look fantastic. It's the Fate series. It's just the Fate. Like, it's literally the Fate series. And ironically enough, Hunter x Hunter. Then again, Hunter x Hunter has such, like, Hunter x Hunter benefits from the JJK effect, where the manga, at least, and I'm, once again, I say this as a person who can never be a mangaka, especially not the way Nakaba and Gege are. Never. Why did I say Nakaba? As in Gege and Togashi. Never. And once again, you literally give me Togashi, his situation where I can kind of just go on hiatus for however long, you would never get a chapter from me. Never. I could never be a mangaka. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But I think the reason, not a grain, a bag, maybe a mountain, maybe 5 mountains of salt. But I think the reason the Hunter x Hunter anime by Madhouse, I do believe, and JJK with Mappa, the reason they're able to do so much and add so much to the base material and kind of go crazy with it is because the characters are easier to draw relative to some other series. Like, Record of Ragnarok. I love it. It is one of my favorite new gen. I say that about almost everything, but one of my favorite new gen. Same thing with the series like Blue Lock. Same thing with the series like Dr. Stone. Like, these manga are fantastic for me. I couldn't eat them all in like a few days. Like, I haven't reread Record of Ragnarok in a while. I need to, though, so I can be all ready for when I start reviewing it again. But I just recently reread all of Dr. Stone. Went down, Squirm-Dilly-Umptus. It was like a little, and I was done because the art style is so good, so buttery, so smooth, fantastic. Love that series. Need to talk about it more. But one of the things with that series is that the anime is kind of, I mean, it doesn't do a bad job, but it's kind of underwhelming. But why? Because Boichi's a demon. A demon with the pen. Like, they're just crazy. Horikoshi. A lot of people were complaining about season 6 or 7 of the anime. Oh, it doesn't look as good as the manga. The manga's art. And I know people are going to be like, well, pencil. All manga's art. But no, the manga itself, I could like put up in a museum. I could reach blindly, especially into the back half of the series. You can argue like maybe the first part of the series. I think that's why people were fine with a lot of Bones' earlier adaptations of MHA, because the art quality, while still fantastic, still better than 99% of mangakas who've been going at it for years. You could argue Chapter 1 Horikoshi, who was a mangaka that was going at it for years, is a better mangaka than a lot of mangaka that have been at it for forever, art style wise. But especially in the back half of the manga, Hori went nuts. He just went nuts. Like, literally, people, and heck, people complain, oh, well, Hori's chapters are so short. They're like 11 pages, 12 pages. We had the arc with, like, I think it was like a 4-page chapter. But when you're Horikoshi, and, like, I can see the individual hair follicles and the musculature built into the hand and, like, the vein, like, individual sweat drops. I can darn near see the pores on it. Of course it's going to be hard to animate. Of course it's going to be hard to animate. And the same thing falls for Record of Ragnarok. I know a lot of people clown on the Record of Ragnarok anime. I clown on the Record of Ragnarok anime. I can't even watch it. It's so ugly to me. But the reason I can't get mad at them is that I could like go to Mappa or go to Studio Madhouse. It's the same reason I'm scared for the people who have to adapt One Punch Man. I'm not sure if that's confirmed to me, Mappa. I'm pretty sure that was just like a meme. But whoever has to animate One Punch Man, I have the same fears for them. I genuinely do. Because Murata, because Horikoshi, and because the Record of Ragnarok mangakas, their art quality for a page-to-page manga, some weekly, some monthly, some whenever they feel like it, in the case of One Punch Man, it is so out of this stratosphere that it's basically impossible to animate. It would take years to appropriately adapt back half MHA or to appropriately adapt Record of Ragnarok, the manga. Like, the manga's been looking immaculate since chapter 1, being real with you. The Record of Ragnarok mangakas are insane. They've been insane, will always be insane. Or even Blue Lock. Blue Lock. I know a lot of people complain about that anime. And as a massive Blue Lock fan, I'll be real with you, I can't blame the anime for struggling. Because once again, chapter 1 Blue Lock is insanely detailed. Heavens forbid you get to the later parts of them. Like, literally, I can argue that maybe like the first 30 chapters of the series have their moments where they look kind of whack, but like chapter 40 and onwards, the series, once again, just art. So I can't blame them for all this. You may be wondering, Pencil, why'd you just go on it, especially for a guy who doesn't talk about anime that often, why'd you just go on this whole long rant about artistic quality and animation and yada, yada, yada? And if, in case you're wondering, it was to go back to the discussion of squash and stretch and why I think Bond's speed is so well portrayed by Nakaba in the manga. And why I'm so impressed with Nakaba and Gege's and Horikoshi's ability to bend and break their character designs while still getting the message across on who they are and not making it look bad. This is a hard angle to draw and make it seem cohesive and not ugly. The top-down angle where the body is vertical but the head's tilted up slightly, like, essentially, this is like the position you take when you lay down on a bed. Very hard to draw. But what does it do? It shows the speed. The way his body starts off, you see the peak here, how it concentrates into his foot. You see how his foot is basically a blur. This ability to bend and break character designs is what allows for the principle of squash and stretch, which is very particularly an anime-based or an animation-based part, to fit into the manga and portray certain things better than other mangaka through the utilization of animation principles in manga. I can see this in motion. Some manga, and this is something I give credit to the Record of Ragnarok mangaka, because I can't say this about theirs, and I give credit to Geigaki Utami and especially Nakaba, obviously, and the other Nakaba, the Nakaba Suzuki Sensei for Sakamoto Days. Sometimes you sacrifice the ability to perceive it in motion. Horikoshi, amazing mangaka. Sometimes the panels look a little bit too static, though. I don't know how to complain. I could just say, be the Record of Ragnarok manga, because I can just point there. Once again, they do that monthly. Horikoshi does it weekly. So the fact that sometimes panels look a little bit static and I can't imagine the motion behind them without, like, extreme legwork is fine. But Nakaba, very consistently, with Bond especially, trace it all the way back to Bond, knows how to use principles of animation in still images to portray speed, velocity, and force, yet at the same time make it look good and have it stay firm as a built-in aspect of the character. Beautiful. Chef's kiss, no notes, all W's. Nakaba's fantastic with it. Allow me to glaze Nakaba. I glaze a whole bunch of other artists whenever I'm reviewing their chapters. I give light glaze to Nakaba. So I hope that a whole extra thick heaping, I hope you can cover an entire rack of donuts with that, because that's the glaze on the art front that we're probably going to get for the most part. I make no promises. But we see that Bond lunges after Ironside. And Bond, he comes down and like, I'm not sure if he uses Horchus or he just, I think he does, because Horchus, no, he just uses his hand. He takes his left hand, just just smacks the taste out of Ironside. And the reason I can say you can tell it's not Courtshoo's is because there's not an ounce of motion line on Courtshoo's here. His right hand is stable. So he just smacked Ironside so hard that his armor made a clanging sound and he sent Ironside deep into the depths. Love it once again. And we see that Ironside, he ain't no fodder. He's not fodder. Don't let any clowning that may occur later on in this review convince you that Ironside's fodder. I would never, me, Ironside fodder, I would never say such a thing. Never. But there's going to be a massive preponderance of evidence. For all my Ironside fans out there, all three of you, I know y'all are going to want to hype Ironside up, especially after some statements he makes in this chapter, but he does not scale the bond at all. And we see that he says, "Floating wind, Falca, Bond, the fox sin of greed. Why were you aware of our location?" A relatively good question, right? Because all of Britannia has been under siege. And as was mentioned last chapter, the Seven Deadly Sins have kind of been landlocked because the moment they leave any of their designated areas, well, then who knows what could happen when they're away. Sure, they have strong enough people at every single one of their locations, presumably. I mean, Gother's the weakest stronghold you could argue is like Gother's little demon village. But they're not only constantly on the move, but also they're a whole bunch of demons. If they speak the wrong way, a whole bunch of humans sent by Arthur could do some trouble, but still, then Arthur himself could show up and wipe all the demons. That ain't all too good. For Meliodas, Elizabeth is there. We do have some powerful holy knights lingering around, like Gila. But we've seen a holy knight like Jericho alone could step in and handle Gila, and who knows how many other strong adversaries could appear there if Meliodas were to leave. Elizabeth could most likely step in and handle business. She could definitely stand on it, but even still, I'm not sure the likelihood of her doing that all too well. Same thing for Benwick and Elaine. Sure, Elaine, quite a powerful individual, don't get me wrong. I ain't going to downplay Elaine. Who knows? Maybe she's gotten stronger over this 18-year time skip. But obviously she's not Sin tier. She's not Bond tier. So if Arthur or a powerful enough knight were to show up, these knights who may be able to be argued to scale above commandment tiers, I mean, it's not impossible to get Elaine to commandment tiers because she's like the Blitz Melascula, but that was a Melascula who was off guard and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know. These above commandment tier, these beyond chaos commandment tier knights, they may just low diff. They may just low diff Elaine if she's really just there by herself. And Diane should be able to take care of the Fairy King's Fire. Those two are living together. They should be able to take care of it. One should be able to leave and do something while the other stays behind. But who knows? Maybe Diane doesn't feel confident in leaving the kids behind. That's a thing. So the Sins being landlocked for so long, them suddenly appearing after 2 years, it almost seems too convenient. It seems like it's built for a narrative purpose. So Ironside wonders, why? Why have you come and found us, the mighty four evils, the Knights of Camelot? Oh, so mighty. And as Bond lands, he's like, let me be real with you, bucko. It's kind of just a coincidence. I only came here to knock a couple back. You know what I'm talking about? Know what I'm talking about. And Ironside's like, knock a couple back? What you got there? You can share? No, but he's shocked. Because, of course, like, it seems so random, right? Why would these Sins, who have kind of been cleaved to their respective locations for 2 whole years, letting Arthur just... Whoop. Oh, did that cause the planet to explode? No? Okay, I'll put that in my back pocket. The Camelot pocket. Whoop. And is that cause the planet to explode? No? Okay, I'll take that too. Like, why would they, who have been sticking to their own kingdom so Arthur can't just Jenga them, why would they suddenly appear out of nowhere, especially one of their more powerful members? I'd say Bond is pretty confidently not even one of their more powerful members. He's the second strongest one. This guy's dead. And it's just Mel. Like, that just leaves. It goes Mel, like, if going off the original series, if I'm just to rank them, it goes Mel, Bond, King, arguably Gother, and then, like, base Diane. I guess you could say danced up Diane is stronger than Gother. Essentially, Bond's number 2 now. So the second strongest of them suddenly wandering around, it would seem strange, since they've been landlocked for so long, and the motivation seems so petty, right? Like, really? You just came out here to 1 or 2 back? What's going on here? And we see Bond very specifically. It's a nice soft reference. It's a nice soft reference to Barnia or Vanya. That village over there is Vanya. And Vanya Ale, some of the best in Britannia, don't you know? Though admittedly, to come to Bond's defense, and I know a bunch of people are going to be like, really, Bond? Really, Bond? Really, Bond? Like, I know a bunch of people are going to be like that. For good reason. But to come to my main man's defense, he is like one of the fastest characters in the series right now. Arguably like top 3 fastest characters. Because who's fast? Like, genuinely, especially considering Zell's scaling and Cursed by Light kind of goes nowhere. Like, I'll be real. Especially, like, here's the thing. No matter what you do, either Zell's scaling is embarrassing or it's just extra embarrassing from Cursed by Light. Because he was getting beasted on, casually beasted on by Dahlia. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was losing to Dahlia, who Mel proceeded to low diff, accidentally beat him when he turned on Demon Mark, not Assault Mode or anything. So clearly Zell doesn't scale to that Mel. You could argue that Mel didn't even need to go Demon Mark against Dahlia. He just did because it was out of respect for an old friend and he wanted to load him as easily as possible. But you could argue base Mel would slam. And then I guess that's the best argument you can have for him, because he very specifically attacks the Supreme Deity with Mel. And then in the novelization, he got a boost from Merlin when attacking the Supreme Deity. Assuming both of them got boosted, the Supreme Deity's only at 50%. You're just a quarter, not even quarter. It wouldn't even be a quarter of the Supreme Deity's power. It'd be an eighth. So just an eighth of a power worth of damage. It's actually worse than his original scaling. Because like you could scale above Archangels who are at like a quarter of the power. So you'd argue Cursed by Light Zell it's just weaker instead of stronger, which makes sense considering he lost all his amps. But like it's just embarrassing for Zell. And unfortunately in the Demon King World arc, Lord. In the Demon World arc, he didn't get many more feats or any statements that are particularly impressive. In fact, people have been making arguments he's even just weaker than the Demon King from 3,000 years ago, which is even worse for the man. So he's not in a conversation. Bond is definitely faster than Diane. Clearly faster than King. We see this in the previous series. Only characters who should be definitively faster than Bond. I wouldn't even say his own son, being real with you. I think Lance may be inferior. Or at least, at best, relative. Due to his numerous seminally sinful statements. And we know Bond's an upper tier, second strongest sin. But the only person he should be slower than is Mel. That's a maybe. Because who knows? You can make some weird arguments for Mel being slower than Bond. So, the reason I say all this is Bond just leaving to grab some ale and go back should probably take like 30 minutes. At most. I don't know where Benwick is on the world map. I have no clue. I think it's in like the bottom left-hand corner. I remember drawing the world map of Britannia. But, with that being the case, he can probably just appear, grab some ale and dip. But now, there's no ale to grab. So he can't just dip. And obviously, the Knights are here too. So, I can 100% see Bond doing this by coincidence, especially considering what the villagers say later on the chapter and what they recognize him as title-wise. It's pretty easy to presume that this is not the first time nor the last time that Bond has or will be doing this. So we see that Bond brought up the fact that, hey, thanks to that, I finally got to see your face. You guys lurking around in the shadows trying to avoid us deadly sins. I love Bond poking at Ironside. He's like, me personally, I don't see no high-level royal guard. What I see is a bunch of cowards hiding behind their master. You got anything to say about that, bucko? Big man? Broski? I ain't think so. But nah, I love that. I love the fact that Bond is still just as biting and as teasing as he was in the original series, and how he mocks Ironside for admittedly being a coward for all intents and purposes. The fact that all the sins are still alive is a testament to the fact that Arthur's a baby who scaled. Though admittedly, obviously, even with Arthur's full power over chaos, the sins have likely gotten stronger, and Arthur likely has some subconscious, even if he doesn't realize it, he has some subconscious respect and fear of their raw power, considering they were able to do many things that he wasn't able to do for the longest time. So there's that, plus the idea that maybe Arthur's just not as powerful in the real world as he is in Camelot. So like there's so many things that go behind that, but still, for all intents and purposes, from an outside looking in, yeah, it's all of Camelot trying to sneakily take pieces away while the Sins just chill out and make sure their homes don't get taken away. Admittedly, I do think this is somewhat short-sighted for some of the Sins. I think at least for Bon and maybe Elizabeth. And the reason I say this is because obviously Mel can't get into Camelot. Shanakor, the man who's a demon, can't get into the place that doesn't like demons. King, also, he's a fairy. Oh no, he's the king of what? Hold on, let me think. Oh no, my brain, it's braining so hard right now. Hold on, I know what I need to get this brain blast. Oh yeah, he's the king of the fairies, so obviously he's not gonna get through the barrier. Same thing with Diane, who's the queen of the giant. So obviously she's not gonna be able to get through. Same thing with Goth is kind of weird. Like, he's an inanimate object given form. So realistically, you could argue he should be able to sneak in. So the infiltration team of Bon, Elizabeth, and Gother could have been crazy, since there's no reason they should be blocked from Camelot. So the Sin's not necessarily being all too proactive, especially once what's revealed in this chapter is revealed later on this chapter. I think it is kind of crazy, but I still understand why they're just worried. Like, who knows what could happen the instant they leave the realm. Heck, for all intents and purposes, Arthur could just seal them in a pocket dimension. And like before, where they had someone to break them out, Arthur. Now, Arthur would be the one keeping them there. So them playing it safe and kind of just hoping that the world, most likely, I'm assuming they're hoping the world can be restored after all of it gets taken away and they beat Arthur somehow. I guess that's all the excuse. Other than that, it is kind of negligent that these legendary heroes, who are still very alive and very well, are letting Arthur just boop, 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 and just take pieces away. But we see, and of course, like any man, any individual, Ironside, I mean, he doesn't really like the fact, like, I think he knows in his heart of hearts that what Bond says is true, but despite the fact that the truth will set you free, sometimes ignorance is better than the truth could ever be, at least in one's own physical and mental reality. Because for you see, truth is pain. And at times, pain can come with absolutely no gain. But with that being the case, Ironside, his feathers are ruffled. His Jimmy's all nettled now. He's like, how dare you? How dare you say I was hiding from you? I would never hide from you. 7 deadly sins. But we see that the crew, the squad, the gang rolls up. They're like, hey, would you look? Wait, how does that line go from Cool's Revenge TFS? So no, Doria says it. Well, I gotta check my watch. There's something about the time, like, but I believe it's go time. like that's what Pelgard and whoever this person is. They're all in that time, and they're like, hey, Ironside, are you all right? Want us to join in, sir? This is where the mischaracterization of Pelgard starts. Especially after what Pelgard found out that Ironside did, or at least the end of Percy, something he very explicitly didn't want. Pelgard calling Ironside sir, especially when the other guy doesn't call him sir, calls him Ironside. I'll like literally just switch those speech bubbles. Like maybe Nakaba forgot which character was which somehow, but I don't see Pelgard in any universe calling Ironside sir. At best, they're homies. And if they do, like if Pelgard does call him sir, it's in a joking way or in a mocking way. They're literally on the same level. I'm trying to think. When I call my coworkers sir, if we're on the same level, not really. I don't know. They're like sir and ma'am or any sort of higher form of recognition. It comes with like a higher form of power. That's a joke people won't get unless you watch Ramses, I think. But power. But would that be the case? I don't know. I don't really like that. But I do like that they're on the jumping mentality, right? Like It's just like JJK. They do not believe in fighting fair, especially against an op like one of the Seven Deadly Sins. But Ironside is like, no need for that. I'll take care of this man myself. Spoiler alert. He did not take care of that man himself. But of course we get to see that Ironside, he's weaving jutsu. The only hand sign I think of like this. No, it's not even that. It's just the Hashirama one. When he does like the Buddha statue, like, that's the only one I know. I can't do a hand sign to save my life. I'm like, geez, like I know, but the thing is, I know a guy who can like he can genuinely do like straight up whole jutsu, and it terrifies me. Like, it's cool, don't get me wrong, it terrifies me. But if any of y'all like can like just straight up like do the jutsu, like you have it memorized or you have it down to muscle memory, and like it's like my hat is on. But yeah, my hat is. Oh wait, it's over there. Come here. I don't have the force yet. Come here. No, I'm not doing it. But hats off to anyone who can do hand signs. But we see he weaves a whole bunch of them, and he says, Valkyra. And I think this is a spell we've heard before. I think it's a spell that it's a spell that I think Kion used, or Despair Percy said, or Zaza said. I feel like I've heard Valkyra before, but he says this and he starts whipping up some wins. And this is something that I talk about a bit in the live reaction. You can check it out over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, or become a member for as low as $3 a month. Check it out. It is like 33 minutes. I'd like cut myself off. I was over a hot minute on that live reaction. But a thing that's interesting, now that we know Ironside's whole correlation with the spirits and stuff like that, and Percy's correlation with the spirits, it puts Despair Percy in a whole new light. He's just speaking spirit tongues. He may be speaking in legit spirit spells, which is interesting. I wonder how the first spirit summoners learn these terms to summon these spirits, because we see as Bond is posted up like, dude, I know you didn't just say you were going to take me down. The only person who can take me down is Elaine, and she doesn't take you down, and you are not Elaine. Like, I was going to make an even worse joke there. But we see that Ironside, he whips up the winds and calls, come forth to me, Jin. And can we talk about how thicker than a whole bag of Snickers? I don't even want that, boy. Golly, look at the meat on that boy. Holy, look at that dog. Why is he so beefy? Look at the girth. Like bro's resting his arms up on his belly, and his belly's all the way up here. Like, bro, he's so thick. Like, obviously, I'm not one to talk, but look at the trunk. Look at the heft on that boy. He's so he's all smiles. So he's just like, look at the girth. Look at my gut. Bro, he's just so him. I love him. I don't know. Jin, admittedly, the name Jin inspires many different thoughts in me. Like, I know in some languages it means demon. I know, like, you want to know the saddest thing? You want to know where my mind goes whenever I hear Jin? Take a guess. I'll give you 5 seconds to guess where my mind goes when I say the name Jin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you thought of a Razor Jin from Sonic and the Secret Rings, I will heart your comment. That's what I think of whenever I hear Jin. And that Majin Buu knockoff, he was built like Super Buu. This Jin's built like Fat Buu. So, I don't know. I love the heft of this guy. Nakaba, once again, some of my favorite character designs ever. I don't know. Something about Nakaba. Whether it be monster designs, whether it be armor designs, whether it just be flat out character designs, Nakaba, he just has a really good design sense. And the thing is, we may never see this guy again. A lot of Nakaba's coolest and craziest designs are like one-offs. Or like two-offs. Like, I'm thinking of like the Albions, who get like maybe 5 appearances in the entire series. Or, heck, Oslo and his entire species. I think they're extinct. Like, there are a bunch of monsters and characters and creatures and just a whole bunch of designs and simulations are just chef's kiss fantastic, man. Like, I don't know, not gonna just be cooking. But we see that Bond is like, whoa. That boy's thicker than Diane was. She was preggers. What is that? I should not have made that joke. You think she like caused earthquakes? Like, if she King better have had all of her favorite foods on speed. King did. Wait a minute. Hold on. Diane's 32 feet tall. And Merlin left, so I don't think she had shrinking pills anymore. Well, I mean, maybe you could argue... You know what I'm thinking of. How did King... Did he use sunflower? Did he use Did he just use the original spear? Did he use the grotesque multi-armed teddy bear? How? It must have taken gallons. Like, I can't imagine. It's still impressive to me that their species are at all compatible. I mean, I guess they're both made by Children of Chaos, or Chaos itself. I guess, because the Giants are made by Chaos, and then Fairy Tree made by Chaos, which made the fairies. But, I haven't thought about that ever since the concept was introduced. Like, They don't call him Big Four Wing for nothing. But we see that Ironside doesn't even grace Bond with an answer at first. As he says, "Our king has ordered us to avoid direct combat with you 7 deadly sins. Or should I say 5 deadly sins. But I was never a great fan of that order. And that's doubly true for you, a human like us. Perhaps you're a hero of legend, but how far apart are we in ability, really?" Okay. Ironside. If you don't have all your screws wound in tightly enough, if you left a little bit of your brain in the piece of spirit that you summoned to possess Percy, or like if you had to sacrifice a few brains, dog, I get it. Legally speaking, if I were to go throughout all the different species that exist within the world of Seven Deadly Sins, and were to specifically classify a post-purgatory, post-Elaine Bond, a courtroos Bond, essentially, I would have to label him human. But like, dog, Ironside, what makes you think that you stand a fractions of a chance? Like, at all. Like, and notably, dare I say, there's not like a single regular human being in the Seven Deadly Sins group. Even Elizabeth, who's like the most human out of all. Not really, because Bond and Eskin are literally humans. But, like, dog, not a single one of them aren't monsters. Like I made the only one. And I hate to do this to her, but the only one who may be able to argue is fodder, and you may stand a chance against, especially if you go with explicitly her original combat class and her general lack of feats on the Prime Demon King. Like, base Diane, maybe, is like fodder to y'all, but that's about it. The weakest sin who's protected and living alongside the third strongest. Like, dog. And it's weird that Ironside underestimates Bond for his humanity, when it should be wide known that Bond was barely human. Like, again, most people will not know that Bond just like fell back into the portal all the way to whatchamacallit, into purgatory. But just knowing he was known as Bond the Undead, just knowing that your literal deity, like, this isn't even like he's kind of a deity, if you squint it in the right way, he deserves our worship. No, like, your literal deity holds the creator of the verse in his belly on some Jinjuriki type beat. Jinjuriki or Jinjuriki, whatever one. You mean to tell me he explicitly, after not bothering them for 18 years, he explicitly told you, hey, whatever you do, do not fight these guys. especially not head on. No direct conflict, they will slaughter you. You mean to tell me your king, someone you respect so much that you would suck the skin right off his toes? Suddenly now you're a skeptic? Suddenly now? Come on, Ironside, bro. How do you play yourself like this, dog? I would have ran the instant he showed up. And I'd be like, well, pencil. That's a coward's move. Only cowards would run on. Yes! Because this coward would like to live. But of course, we do get to see that Ironside's like, honestly, I'm just, I'm just gonna sleep in here because I got elemental protection, dog. Don't mind me. Let me just take it. Go ahead. Show me how you're human and know your worth, bucko. Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, I almost collapsed. We're spitting these raps as long as you feel them to the way that I got. You never say that I'm not telling them. I forget the rest of that song. But with that being the case, well, do I? Not the rest of it, pieces of it. But with that being the case, I made a mistake in live reaction. But like, dog. I say, keep in mind too that I have elemental protection. I know he shouldn't know it, so I get why he's confident, but dog, imagine saying that to the only living creature outside the actual deities and the creatures who biogenetically evolved to be there or created there and this biogenetically created to survive it. Purgatory. The same man, and remember, the fight that destroyed Camelot, the one that's very specifically referenced, is not the battle between the Demon King in its prime versus Seven Sins. It's not even Zeldris. The battle that ended up destroying Camelot was the battle against DK Mel. What did DK Mel use? Oh yeah, a storm that Bond 18 years ago casually walked through. And of course, Ironside doesn't have specific feats for that, but just the idea that you really thought the man who's partially responsible for helping slay the Demon King, the thing that in its residuals slaughtered your wife, bucko. The fact that you think that your funny little foul boy could do anything to Bond, be elemental protection, is crazy. Ironside, where's the logic? Where's the thought process? Where's anything? But of course, we see that Bond notes something that's sweet. Once again, we get so many references to our little main cast. So unfortunately, we don't. Well, I think it is fortunate and unfortunately. I'll talk about the lack of our main cast in its own video and why I think it's actually a good thing. But with it being the case, we see Bond say, "Elemental, huh? I recall Guild Thunder's son wielding such bizarre skills." I like that. I like so much that Bond not only knows Guild Thunder's name, but knows just enough to recognize Kion's abilities and his skill set when being wielded by somebody else. That, once again, it's just the interconnectivity. My favorite thing about Seven Sins, it ain't the plot. I mean, it ain't the art, as much as I love the art. It ain't the fights, as much as I love the fights. It's the character work. It's the character work that makes me come back to Four Nights every single week, no matter how much weird, crazy stuff happens. No matter what. Man. I love that character writing. And Bond remembering Kion and his abilities, beautiful. All we needed was a name drop. But of course, I think there's a very specific reason we aren't getting name drops for the characters right now, because we'll get another lack of a name drop later. But we see that Ironside just riding the confidence high is like, let me in with some solid elementalist and you'll regret it. Instead, allow me, the great Ironside, to show you the difference between high level and low level elemental. It doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't even matter. I tried so hard and got so far. In the end, It doesn't even matter. I cannot sing that low. It's been too long since I tried to do that. But come on, Ironside. If it was this easy, why do you think Arthur hasn't done it? Like, if it's this easy, why did Arthur send out that command? Like, Ironside, you eat from a dog bowl at Arthur's bedsheet, bro. And you mean to tell me, in like all of that, the message you got from the man who's shaking in his boots, not wanting to obey Britannia at all, as long as the Seminole Sins arrive, and wanting to play a Jenga game instead of just taking them out and moving forward. Somehow you think your little elemental spells are going to do any different, though. What? But of course, we see that he summons some more stuff. The wind. Oh, the wind. It starts tearing at the main man, Bond, who's kind of just chilling there, hand in his pocket. It's ripping everything up. Once again, a very similar vein to the storm that Bond once stood in. And we see that Ironside explains, Jin, the ruler of the sylphs, before its almighty wind, all of creation is battered about like a clump of paper. No, Ironside's not universal. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. No. No. How can wind even destroy space? Wind needs space. It's like, no, we're not doing that. But with that being the case, we see Ironside rotate this all around. And it's interesting that Jin is the leader of the Sylphs, because we've seen Sylphs before with Kion, and interesting that Ironside has such a strong contract with them. And we see that Figure Boy, Jin, he hits him with Concerto of Wind, Zilvath al Tango. And I love the big old grin on Jin's face, the sharp fangs too. Well, I think it's its mustache. I really like the detail though. And we see there's a whole sphere of wind circling around Jin. But we see that apparently Ironside knows it was pretty ineffective since Bond is still breathing. And he says, you may have dodged it last time, Bond, but my strikes, they do not strike the same place twice. You'll be sliced to ribbons by the mighty Jin. Then he proceeds to hit Bond with an attack that is definitely not from the mighty Jin. Like that's not even win. Like, I get it, there's wind blowing him, but Ironside, this is very specifically your light magic. And don't get me wrong, Pyre Before Silence, Belfast Margot, it still sounds cool, but that's clearly not Jin. I wonder if there's some weird translation stuff going on here, because what? Not Jin. Because we see, like, I guess the Jin combos here towards the end, but the initial hits are all done by the Golem. Like, they're all, like, they're specifically not done by Jin. All the hits are initially done by Ironside. So it's weird that he says, you'll be sliced to ribbons by the mighty Jin. And I know wind can have tearing effects, but Tom, your attack very specifically cuts into people. The Jin's doesn't. Though it is cool seeing Ironside's light abilities again. Once again, I wonder what's innate. I wonder what's in addition. I assume all the summoner stuff is in addition. And I guess you can just learn. Well, yeah, you can just learn the spirit arts. So I guess Ironside's base magic still is this cross type beat. And I like it. I'm very interested to see where it goes and like what its properties generally are. If it is just straight up light, like it's just a straight ripoff of Arc Magic, just like Pelgard has a ripoff of Hellblaze, which is just Blaze. But I don't know. Got me stroking my beard trying to figure it out. But we see the Jin just smack the top of that building off. And we see that the villagers, oh no, he did King Bond in. No, how could he? King Bond, how could he be done in? No, but this is something I do like. And the reason I say, or at least I theorize, but then again, he's been king for 18 years, so maybe this theory is a little bit doom on my part. So let me be a little bit stupid. I'm going to be just like Ironside real quick. You could argue that the Vanya village people know King Bond by King Bond is because of the fact that he consistently visits the village every once in a while. Just over and over and over again. People start to recognize him and they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, wait, you're that Similarly Sin guy. You're a war hero. And he's like, oh, not just a war hero. I'm also a king now. Now give me some tax-free stuff. Also rip out all your hearts. Like I assume something like that has happened. Though we see that the griffin, well, baby griffin, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's like, honestly, it's a griffin with less commitment to the griffin and this bird-headed horse thing. We see that it says, "Well played, Ironside." But Pelor's like, I don't think he nor Bond heard no bell. And we see that Ironside's shocked to find that this, okay, let me make a comparison. This is like someone bigger and stronger than me. It is better than me in every single way, shape, and form. This is if someone of that, like they're 7 foot rippling musculature, they have 15 PhDs, all that. This individual came up to me. It was like, hey, I know I'm cool and powerful and all that, but whatever you do not go to X location. And if you do find yourself in X location by accident, immediately turn around. You're telling me Arthur gave you one of them types of warnings, Ironside, and you still you fell for the okie doke, bro. Like he straight up fell for the okie doke. He bought into his own hype way too much. As he says, it can't be. It's just not possible. What kind of monster are you? Oh no, it's almost as if this 1,000-plus-year-old creature who's known as Bond the Undead is responsible for slaughtering the Demon King stronger than me, just a regular dude. Like, dog, come on now. And I know, Ironside should have no concept of what happened in Purgatory and all that, but the Demon King stuff alone should be more than enough for Ironside to realize he's not him. And I'll admit, I'm gonna miss the fit. Little psych, I want a red fit back. So Bond goes, switch out of them tattered clothes, bucko. But we see that Bond, he's pretty much just bored. He's like, whatever. I mean, I'm here. There's no ale. I'm definitely not eating kale. That's all we have for dinner when I'm back home. What should I eat? Well, maybe I run all the way over to the Black Cat's Tavern and go hang with the gang for a little bit. Maybe. But we see that Bond, hands in his pocket, so I was like, whatever. And we see that Bond overheard the name of the man known as Ironside and said, Ironside, what's your name, right? You're the only monster around here. And yo, completely and utterly accurate. And the thing is, it seems like Bond doesn't even have the full bevy of information that Ironside thinks that Bond has because of this statement. But we see Bond lunge in once again, just showing off that supreme speed through that beautiful squash and stretch. And we see Ironside calling, begging, Big Daddy Jin, protect me. He's going to give me the most devious back shots. I could hear him in a lane from across the Mississippi. Please. And the Jin's like, I'm not sure I can do that, Bucko. But it reaches out, trying to stop Bond. And Bond dives right on through. For no minutes, it only took a second today, and he slams Ironside because he made his son a prey. But no, this one interaction right here. Well, what are you talking about? I don't know. I love Ironside just screaming and okay, but to be fair, putting myself in Ironside's shoes, because I'll admit, there are times where I've been explicitly told things and done them anyway, or has been explicitly warned to not do something and done it anyway, just out of my sheer stupidity. But seeing Ironside just break down and resort to screaming, he's like, don't come in. He's generally just terrified of blood. For a good reason. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I mentioned him before. I have a friend. 6'7", 300 pounds, straight muscle. Notably, let me actually tell you all my real height. I am 4'8", 90 pounds, soaking wet. So, if my 6'7" homie were to come charging at me, he likes football. He doesn't play it professionally, but he likes football. If he were to come charging at me at Mach 5, whatever he runs at, I would also be screaming. most likely higher pitched than most little girls. But Ironside, bro. Like, I wouldn't ask for it. That's my difference, right? Like, if I was about to get tackled by my homie, it was not something I consented to nor asked for. Ironside, you wanted smoke, bucko. Don't scream now. Scream once he puts it in you. But with that being the case, we see that Bond, he sends the chapter from a 9 out of 10 to a solid 47 out of 10, as he says, connected by juice or not, you casually try to slaughter a child you once called your son. It's nothing any human being would do. Now, this is interesting. Bond has the context for Ironside and Percy. And maybe Ironside and Diodra. Because once again, I mentioned this before, Diodra, if he got transferred over into Percy's body, would not be Diodra anymore. Would it be? Would not be Diodra anymore. Your physical, biological vessel is a massive part of who you are. As a massive part as your soul, arguably not, but still. Your physical vessel matters a lot. But we see Bond's nettled. And we know why. As he explains, my own nonsense cousin's son suddenly came back two years ago, you see. He wouldn't look at me or his mother in the eye. He just holed up in his room and cried all by himself. Him, a child so strong that he'd never cry around anyone. But he kept sobbing, talking the whole time about how he couldn't protect the friend he held dear. Once again, I mentioned it earlier and I'll mention it again. Character work. We got a double word of the day. Character and work. You slap it into one phrase and you get what Nakaba excels at. I love this. Because this one scene, this one little statement, this one page does so much for everything. Number one, it gives us an update on where Lance went post Percy's end. A lot of people, myself included, assume that Lance, especially since he, especially since he got Nanashi's blade, whatever it was called, something dear, like, especially since he got that, a sacred treasure tier weapon, and Percy just right in front of him because of the Knights of Camelot, everybody in their mama and they mama's mama was like, oh, Lance is about to go wreak havoc. He's gonna go crazy. You know, Lance is about to go bonkers all over the Knights. He's gonna run into Camelot and say it's Lancelot time, and Lancelot time all over their faces. Shining roads for you, shining road for you, shining road for you. But no, because Lance is still a kid. In the moment, he was consumed by rage. He took Mortlock's life without hesitation. But of course, after that adrenaline fades, after the sinking realization comes in that you've lost your friend, essentially, once again, I talked about it a whole bunch, but Percy, for all intents and purposes, is the little brother that Lance never had. Losing that in that moment, sure, he could have ran into Camelot. He could have caused a whole bunch of havoc. He could have gone crazy. But none of that would have mattered. It would have been pointless. Not only because the prophecies cooked without Percy, but also because his friend's already gone. And he himself doesn't really have any way to get him back. So Lancelot sinking into despair, going back to the one place where he feels safe with his mom and dad, and just letting it all out. Man, it's beautiful. I love it. Once again, I appreciate my cool characters. My characters that are cool for the sake of being cool and the coolest ever to cool. Benimar. Then again, I can't say Benimar because Benimar has an arc in the manga that I really, really like for his character. Really, not really an arc, but it has like a flashback that has contextualization for his character that I really, really like. But like, obviously, one of the main reasons I love Lance is because Lance is Himothy. He's one of the most powerful characters in the series. He has really cool attack. He's just a general Himothy tier character. But what takes Himothy tier characters from just being Himothy, what takes Escanor from just being cool in his day form to me loving his night form and his total character, same thing with All Might, same thing with a bunch of other characters, is when they have that duality, the epicness and also the humanity, that perfect balance, that perfect mix. No Dragon Ball about them. That is what I really, really love. And Nakaba gives that to Lance here in the most realistic way possible. I still remember the pain I was in when a close friend of mine passed away. And I was older than Lance at the time. Lance is in one of the most impressionable periods of his life. He's 16. Like, don't let the medieval ages fool you by calling that adulthood. Even 18 is still a very influential time in your life where you're still forming opinions and stuff like that. So the loss of his friend, all that power that he has in his mind being worthless because he couldn't save his one friend, his baby brother, of course it's going to hurt him. And I like that it's revealed that it did. And then Lance went back home. Whether he is still back home is unknown. What he's been doing for the past 2 years is unknown. But I like that we at least got a mention of him, especially by his father. And I love how his father gets the retribution by slamming his elbow. And I think it's his knee straight into Ironside's chest. As he says, so here's one from him to you. Once again, because it's Ironside's fault. It is Ironside's fault that Lance lost his friend. So Bond getting payback for him by landing that chest punch, or that chest knee, fantastic. Well, of course, just like I mentioned, at least Ironside, Pelgard, and Bond, a little bit too important to actually come out of this, not living. So we see, despite this knee pummeling that should have annihilated Ironside, let's be real, he should have perished from this, unless Bond was holding back. We see a big old whoosh, and Ironside coughs up the juice as Pelgard says, "Do it, Milton Duff." Milton Duff is the awkward younger brother of Macduff, and he was never as cool as Macduff, never. But we see that Milton Duff starts to yapping as they say, "Door to the Eternal Kingdom, open before me and guide us to our destination." And we see that Ironside's like, wait, no, what are you doing? I can still fight. And Pelgard says, "We have to retreat, sir." Once again, it feels weirdly. Does anyone else feel like Pelgard's out of character in this chapter? Or is it just me? Maybe I just have a wrong interpretation of Pelgard, but I don't remember him ever calling Ironside sir, especially this consistently. But we see that Ironside tries to fight back. He's like, "But I haven't," and they immediately disappear for the portal. Bond does not chase them. Once again, presumably him going into the kingdom alone probably isn't the best idea because he could get ganged. So I understand why he doesn't chase them. But we see Bond. He pops the cap off. He hits a swing of that. And he's like, "Oh, yeah. The ale's tasting real special today. Why don't I go knock a couple back with the gang for a change?" So, this chapter, it has everything I love about Four Knights and Seven Deadly Sins as a duology. It has it all. It has one of my favorite characters in the series, in Bond, doing his Bond thing, which is fantastic. I love it when Bond bonds everywhere, and it's our bonding, whatever. Like, I love that. I love Bond being Bond, around Bond, of Bond, for Bond. I love that. I love Ironside's thick old boy, the Jin. I love the expansion on his spirit powers. Now we reveal that he probably has spirit powers. Him using them more is great. I love how Bond, once again, being a sin tier threat, is treated as a sin tier threat. Don't get me wrong, I understand why Boruto goes the way it does, but I think by massively power creeping the final heroes of our previous series kind of leaves things open for interpretation in a more negative light, considering what happens due to the natural nature of that. But I still think Bond being a demon and being this powerful makes sense, even for two of our main antagonists, to the point where he forces them to run simply by negging both of them. Overall, just an amazing, the character work in this chapter, simple and sweet, all great stuff. And Ironside versus Bond is a treat to see naturally. So overall, just an insanely W and an insanely worthy chapter. However, what does come next? I think, personally, we're probably going to do a perspective switch. We're probably going to have a little, maybe 2 chapter vignettes of an update of each location and how it's doing. Maybe random locations from the previous series, maybe not. And we're going to get like a chapter or two of the Sins fighting each night, and then they're all going to converge. And I think that's going to be sweet. I'm loving that we get more Sin content. Fantastic. If you made it all the way to the end of this visual, please do me a favor and leave the greedy fox in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.
I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Connor Plays, Red Wolf, Fortune65, and Greyhound. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Winter, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give a scrumptious thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka-dunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Idem Okami. I'd like to give another thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our two $25 patrons, Calvin Elder and Igneel.